Hi everybody, my name is Sam Pedro and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be talking about the book 2 Years Before the Mast, which was written by Richard Henry Dana. And I'm just going to quickly summarize the book, share a few insights about the book, and yeah, so let's get started. And so this is my copy of 2 Years Before the Mast. And how I came across it is that it is a part of the Harvard Classics collection. And one of my goals in life is to read all of the Harvard classics. I still have a long way to go, but that's how I found this book. And this book was originally written in 1840. It was very widely read in its time. And today it's still read a little bit. And I think the longevity of the book is because it was a part of the Harvard classics. It's just a very interesting book about a very interesting period of time in the great age of sailing. And so what this book is about is it's basically a journal of Richard Henry Dana's life, and specifically 2 years of his life. And so Richard Dana, he is a student at Harvard University, and he contracts measles. And after he's gone through or he gets rid of the measles, it still leaves some infections and some issues with his eyesight. And so he has really poor eyesight. Here he is at Harvard reading and writing a lot, and he just couldn't get through the day. It was straining his eyes, and it was affecting his life. And so he needed to step away from that scholarly pursuit. And so he decides to take a leave of absence from Harvard. And what he decides to do is to become a sailor. And so he joins a boat, a merchant vessel that is going to go from Boston down past South America and Cape Horn and goes up to California with the goal of trading and selling with the Mexican missions in California. And so that's kind of the premise. He brings obviously a journal, and he writes a lot about what he sees and kind of what it was like to be a sailor in the 1830s. And so very interesting insights. He talks a lot about the men, what they were like, what's motivating these men to become sailors. He talks a lot about the work, and it was very, very hard work. It's incredible to read how hard working these people were. They worked almost all day, every day, and they all had jobs to do. And so he explains that. It reads very well for being almost 200 years old. The one thing I didn't know a lot about was some of the technical terms when it comes to sailing. So I did have to Google quite a bit about different parts of the boat. This book is also well known for being one of the earliest accounts of early California. And so in the 1830s, they visited all sorts of bays and ports in California, from San Diego to Monterey to San Francisco. And this was pre-Gold Rush California. And not that much has been written about pre-Gold Rush California. You know, what did it look like? What did the indigenous people, what were they like? And how did these Mexican missions that had been set up, what did they look like? And so Dana has interactions with all of these things, and he gives really cool insight just into what it was like to be living in 1830s California. And so I loved that insight. I think that was probably my biggest fascination with the book, was reading about what California was like. But I also liked just what it was like to be a sailor. And it's just incredible to me that he signs up to become a sailor, and that was a 2-year voyage to get from to get from Boston to California and back. And just so many hurdles within those 2 years that he details in this book. And Dana is an incredible writer. He's very insightful, and so you really feel like you're along for the ride. And I just found this book to be very fascinating and very interesting. Absolutely loved it. And Dana eventually does return to Harvard. He becomes a pretty well-known lawyer, and even plays a role later on as Abraham Lincoln appoints him to, I can't remember what he points him to, but he's an abolitionist, and he does a lot of good there. And so anyway, so 2 years before the Mast, very interesting book. Had a lot of fun with it. Go check it out, and I will see you in the next video.